personnel, lack of funding, improper training. Our direct cost was poor maintenance. So those were the root cause for poor maintenance. So we took the process, okay, how can we improve maintenance? There were two flows for that. It all rolled up to about requesting funding for support.
Maintenance.
And so,
maintenance of the pool. So let's walk them through our equipment.
Okay, so for the equipment, for the system, for the ideal operating conditions, we had the PPE was available, pool functions, pool is maintained. And then the system symptoms was being dirty, cleanliness, improper water temperature, pool structure failure. And then we chose the pool structure failure as the condition for that, and we drilled it down more for poor maintenance was the main direct cause. And then the root cause for poor maintenance was lack of personnel, lack of funding, improper training. And so now we developed a process of how can we improve maintenance? What's that process for that? And so the main thing is we need funding for support. If we had funding, we could get more personnel, we can improve training, we can do those things. So what's the process for that? And there's two flows for requesting funding. One is you submit a need, it goes through a committee review, they propose an amount or give you a grant for whatever amount they approve, they send it to the school, and then you go through the process of hiring someone. And then from the school process, you get the funding, you determine your hiring options. Are you going to use a maintenance person? Are you going to use it through work study? How are you going to
select your candidates?
Then you post the job, you do your interview, you pick a person, and then they start working. We had a side box from the interview because one of the things we talked about was improper training. So in your interview, you want to review the training experience. If they have some, great. If they don't, then you'll need funding to send people off to be trained in order to give them the best possibility to improve the maintenance of the pool area. So out of those two processes, we determined which one was the critical path. And the critical path is the one where you go through the process of requesting the funding. Through that, we determined out of the critical path, what was the bottleneck. And for us, we decided that the bottleneck was committee review. Because typically they're the ones holding up everything. They have to ask 50 million questions. They may not convene.
They meet once a quarter
or something like that. So that would be where the holdup would be. And so that would be where we would partly need to improve in order to improve all of this process. So that's what we got so far.
All right. I want you, don't clap. Okay.
Yes, clap.
Hold on. Last time, they said that they had said something really nice, and and I kind of completely ignored them.
What? We can't hear you, Dr. Sonny. Talk up a little bit. Sorry. Yeah.
Last time I was down there, they said, they said something in break dancer, and I didn't say great job. Okay? And so their feelings were hurt.
What?
Great job. Okay. Oh. What do you think? 0 to 10. 0 being that it would be the same language, or the impact that they would have would be exactly what you would expect from somebody, or and as you increase it, it's the difference between what? What would you rank? Okay.
Don't roll your eyes.
Is he talking?
All right. Anybody else? All right. Supposedly, you got a 10.
All right, like it. So does that mean that we don't need to do the final?
Yeah, that's exactly what it means. That's exactly what it means.
Oh, okay, cool.
If they don't send it, fail them. Who's next? All right, come on.
We'll do it this way. I'll stand. You want me to just talk through this? Sure, I'll grab my notes. All right, so we tried to couple what we learned in systems and reliability and combine that thinking to solve this problem. So to start, we started with a causal map. So if we were to be consultants trying to solve this problem, figure out how are these swimmers better performers than others, we figured highest level, make a map of swimmers who win gold medals. What are the different things in their life? Very high level, like what are your living conditions? What's your schoolwork like? What's your family life like? What's your training like? And then we have another category, what's your mentoring been like? And so using systems thinking, we break down further, go even farther, break out what's influencing your family life, what's influencing this and this and this. Obviously, a lot of those would be different, but at a high level, we figured a lot of people have the similar coursework load. A lot of people have, similar family conditions. A lot of people are living, in the same area, it's the same college, but maybe their mentoring was different. Okay, now that we've identified at the highest level in our system, an entity, mentoring was our entity, our objective is have high-performing swimmers. Why is there a discrepancy here at the highest level compared to these other factors? Now we have a starting point to actually analyze our system. That's when we go into reliability and say, okay, let's make a value stream map. Let's make a process for mentoring. What has mentoring been like for these students, these college swimmers, these college athletes, and figure out, the critical path, and focus on breaking that down into what are its reliability components at the bottleneck, what are the key components of the reliability components. Maybe it's people and maybe it's schedule that is influencing this mentoring. What are the factors there? Our key components are going to have some kind of structure. We don't know what it is. It's probably going to be unstructured. We probably have to do this N out of K analysis. But to get data on those things, we'd have to understand what part of their schedule, what part of people that they had access to, and collect data in some sort of way to come up with a trend. And at that point, maybe we could classify the system as having a certain archetype or it's behaving a certain way, and then we can actually create models. But the goal is to increase the reliability of that structure. For some reason, certain students had access to more mentoring than others. We're going to figure out how it is using this methodology. Yeah. I've been writing it down, but
10, 12. You're on that team. I see the discrepancy in how you get grades and how I'm going to get grades. I see that. Who would like to go next?
So in applying this to a swim team, you can still look at the same things in reliability that you do for everything else. So we took it and broke it down into a structure of recruiting, the team, the homework, practice, and winning meets. So put all of that in series to basically see how the reliability pans out. And like many places and many different sports, it all comes down to schedule. So we determined that homework was a big issue for, say, this swim team. And because of that, the schedule was the biggest breakdown of that. We looked at further breaking that down into what issues were causing them not to be able to get their homework done. Since they couldn't get their homework done, they're not going to be allowed to participate. So in improving the swim team, they're going to...
This is not kindergarten. I think they go on. I think that's in like elementary school. If you don't do well, you don't get to play, right? I think college actually.
No.
You can get academic probation.
Okay. So for reliability, we looked at remote collaboration as a big improvement to the being able to get homework done. Being able to put study groups closer to where they have meets in order to kind of shrink the time that they're wasting going from location to location and improving the overall reliability of getting their homework done and improving the reliability of the system. For systems thinking, for the systems thinking part of it, we looked at the defining the structure of what stocks, variables, and flows. So stocks are going to be what we want to improve in the swim team, the different variables that are causing issues with the swim team, and the different flows that affect it. Modeling that out, we can take both what we learned in reliability and in systems thinking to improve the model of the system in order to get better success in the swim team.
So theoretically, what our reliability is.
Okay, so we calculated a theoretical reliability of the current state, and it was 24% overall. And by improving the schedule, we increased it to 38%, which doesn't sound great, but
You just made that up.
but in reality, like, yeah. So, I don't know, we did improve it, even though it was a little bit.
All right, so what would you give them? 10. All right. Next team.
We need to go up front.
No, because they're going to see you here. Haven't said a word yet.